Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Friday. We are talking about being flooded today. A lot of times when our anxiety is really high, it keeps us from being able to think logically and rationally and to start problem solving. When we're flooded, our emotion is really high, our heart rate is up, our blood pressure is up, our nervous system is kicking in order to be able to deal with whatever conflict is going on. In other words, our body is sensing that we're in danger. And so our brain activates everything else in order to keep us not only safe, but to be able to deal with the immediate situation at hand. Sometimes we get kind of stuck in that cycle, and it's hard for us to decompress or to take our brain out of that. In fact, I oftentimes relate to it like a light switch that's flipped on and gets stuck. We want to figure out how to flip it off to be able to relax, to be able to calm down. We've done a lot of talking about deep breathing and the importance of that. Deep breathing is definitely one way that we can allow our bodies and our brains to flip to the off switch and to allow ourselves to decompress or bring that flooded waters from a high level down to a lower level. Oftentimes when we do that, we're able to think a little bit more clearly. We're able to say things in a way that feels heard to the other person and a way that respects the relationship we're in. When that's really high, that's when we tend to say things that we don't mean out of frustration or anger. And so being aware of that is very, very important. This is very common to occur when we're in a place of being high anxiety or even a lot of depression. And oftentimes the theory is, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is it depression that comes first? Is it anxiety that comes first? And the reality is that they often partner together. Because when my anxiety is too high, I can flip into a cycle of depression. When I'm too stuck in a cycle of depression, I see that my anxiety gets higher. And so being aware of how these things show up in your life, the circumstances that promote them more, the conversations that trigger you in maybe to this a little bit more, and recognizing when the flooded level comes up, how can I take a step back from whatever is going on right now to pull that back, to slow myself down physiologically, physically, mentally, to slow myself down to allow that to all even out and keel out. So then I am more prepared to be able to go in and have that tough conversation. Having tough conversations when we're emotionally upset and we're flooded all over the place doesn't help me, and it definitely doesn't help the relationship that I'm in. So being mindful of this and aware of this is something that really allows us to pull back. Oftentimes, we talk about in scripture about the importance of being able to recite the truth to ourselves. Philippians 4, when Paul says to think about things, the first thing he says is think about things that are true. When we are emotionally aroused, when we're flooded, the most difficult thing for us to think is the things that are true, because everything's going to be filtered through that lens of being flooded and very, very emotional. It doesn't mean that our emotions are bad or wrong. Obviously, God gave them to us for a reason. We need to be in control of them instead of them in control of us. And one way that we do that is truly by meditating on the word of the Lord, finding things that are true in scripture to be able to recite over and over and over again while I slow my breathing down can really help me be able to move into a space that can be helpful for the conversation, that can help me problem solve, and that will honor the relationships with the people that I have and that I love. I hope that this has been helpful for you today, and I pray that you will just have a wonderful weekend and really look inside yourself, really start to key in on where do I start seeing this, because I'm going to feel it in my body before I'm aware of my thinking. So are my shoulders tight? Do I have an upset stomach? Is my head hurt? Are my muscles tight? Where is this showing up for me? So I pray that this weekend, that's something that you can start to focus in on, where this is showing up in your body, then start recognizing where it's in your thinking as well. If you have questions or you want to talk about this further, please don't hesitate to give me a call or to email me, and I will be happy to contact you back and have this conversation. Hope you're well, and I'll talk to you next week.